I represent the people of Lagos Island Federal Constituency 2. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, the topic of my motion here is immortalization of Dr. Stella Ameyo Adadevoh. Recall that in 2014, Dr. Stella Ameyo Adadevoh, a Nigerian physician, risked her life in a bid to curb the spread of Ebola virus in Nigeria by placing Liberian-American diplomat Mr. Patrick Sonya, whom she suspected of having the virus, in quarantine. Also recall that Mr. Sonya entered Nigeria from Liberia to attend the Economic Committee of West Africa States, ECOWAS, conference in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. But on arrival at the Lagos airport on the 20th of July, 2014, he collapsed and was taken to First Consultant Medical Center, a private hospital in Lagos, where late Dr. Adadevoh worked. Note that despite the initial positive malaria diagnosis, Dr. Adadevoh remained suspicious and got Mr. Sonya tested for Ebola. Despite the personal risk, threat, and diplomatic pressure on her to discharge the diplomat to attend the conference while waiting for the outcome of the test, she refused, stating, for the greater public good, she will not release him. Also note that the Liberian government are threatening to sue Dr. Adadevoh for kidnapping and holding the diplomat against his will. Regrets that by quarantining Mr. Sonya in the hospital, Dr. Adadevoh and some of our staff became infected as Sonya was diagnosed with Ebola, from which he eventually died in the hospital on the 25th July 2014. Cognizant that the Nigerian health sector was not prepared for the Ebola virus, hence Dr. Adadevoh and members of our medical team had to make do with the resources available to them, and in the process were exposed to and eventually died from the virus. I appreciate Dr. Adadevoh's bravery, professionalism, which saved Nigeria from a devastating impact of an uncontrolled outbreak of the Ebola virus, and thus prompted the government, good-spirited individual and organization, and the international community to deploy resources to curb the outbreak of Ebola virus. Further recall that the actions of Dr. Adadevoh were that allowed for a swift, strategic, and coordinated containment process of Ebola virus in Nigeria, and all possible contact with Mr. Sonya were established and quickly contained, and consequently, on the 20th of October 2014, the World Health Organization declared Nigeria Ebola-free. Aware that Nigeria recorded a total of 8 deaths out of 20 Ebola cases, with 11 health workers being part of the victim, of which 5 died, including the proactive Dr. Adadevoh, who died on the 19th August 2014. Also cognizant that Dr. Adadevoh has been consistent in her act of patriotism, even before the Ebola incident, as in 2012, she was the first doctor to issue an alert to the Federal Ministry of Health on the need to take proactive steps when the H1N1 swine flu spread to Lagos, an action that contributed to averting the outbreak of the flu. Concerned that the failure to give due recognition to the heroic act of Dr. Adadevoh could dampen the spirit of patriotism among Nigerians, especially healthcare workers, and possibly deter others from making sacrifice for the nation. This has resulted to observe a mini silence in honor of Dr. Adadevoh, our medical team, and all Nigerians who died from Ebola. Urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to recognize the heroic act of the patriotism of Dr. Stella Ameyo Adadevoh and the medical team, and confer a befitting posthumous national honor on her. Also urge the Federal Ministry of Health to assess and certify Nigeria emergency preparedness against unexpected epidemic. Call on the Federal Ministry of Education and other related authorities to ensure that the inclusion of the heroic deed of Dr. Adadevoh and other such national heroes in the country's civil education curriculum to build spirit of patriotism, nationalism in the young ones. Further urge the Federal Ministry of further urge the federal government to recognize and provide every support necessary for Ebola survivors and the families of Ebola victims. Mandate the Committee on Healthcare to ensure on healthcare services to ensure compliance. Thank you very much. Honorable Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Any seconder?
We will recall in 2014, for the love God has for our country, our general hospitals were on strike. As when this man came in from Liberia, if not, he would have been rushed to a government hospital where there wasn't preparedness for such. Mr. Speaker, this man was taken to a private hospital where Dr. Adadevoh and a team were. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Dr. Adadevoh, being a brilliant doctor, even while Sonia was tested for malaria, she insisted that they carry out Ebola test on this man. While awaiting this result, there was diplomatic pressure on this woman to release this man. She insisted and stated the word for the greater good. What is the greater good? The greater good of all of us here. God forbid what would have happened. Our neighboring countries, Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone, Liberia, lost roughly 20,000 people. Mr. Speaker, due to the bravery act of this woman, we were able to curtail it to just about to 11 deaths or 5 deaths, thereabout. She was the one that brought it to the notice of the government and everyone. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I think it is high time for Nigeria to honor members of the country, any indigene of Nigeria that has shown bravery and that also led to the sacrifice, paid the ultimate supreme price, of which is by laying down our life with some members of our team. Mr. Speaker, I also want to let you know that some countries in Africa are still dying from Ebola. DRC Congo, of recent, they were declared by the World Health Organization public health emergency of international concern. Mr. Speaker, Adadevoh and a team are the reason why most Nigerians are alive today. You will recall during the issue of Ebola then, other African countries locked people indoor. But with the bravery of Adadevoh and a team, they were able to quickly bring it to our notice and proactive steps were taken. The only thing we can do to honor such a woman like this is to immortalize her. Immortalizing this woman also set a precedent for the upcoming generation that Nigeria is a country worth dying for. I urge this honorable house to please look deeply that this woman laid the price. If she hadn't done that, Mr. Speaker, everybody knows, one of us here, every member here would have lost 1 or 2 people because Lagos is a melting pot of Nigeria. Lagos is where every tribe, everybody in Nigeria has 1 or 2 people. And the area this happened was a populated, densilated area, urban area that would have spread. Also, this man insisted on going to Calabar, the south of the country, where there are foreign diplomats, where there are different people from all parts of the world. They would have easily contaminated this thing and taken it round. We should give thanks to God that God used Adadevoh for the country. Also, Mr. Speaker, in a country like America, Adadevoh family will be labeled the Gold Star family, as it is done in the States. I want us to please look deeply into ourselves. That our country has been declared Ebola-free 5 years now, while other countries like DRC are still trying to battle it. Why is this? It is just the single act of this woman, Dr. Adadevoh, and her team. So the easiest thing any country can do is to immortalize such a woman by conferring a national honor on her. Honorable colleagues, I crave your indulgence, your support to please come to the support of the motion to immortalize Dr. Adadevoh. Thank you very much.
Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Colleagues, please can we rise for a minute silence as I played in the motion.